start recording now. People can drip in. Yay! So good to see everybody. Nice to see.
Jack, can you hear me?
Yeah, nice to see you, Dinesh.
Oh, right. Because I'm not sure. Am I supposed to be on video or just about voice?
You're welcome to do either. I like seeing faces, but
Okay.
you don't feel obliged. There's a turn off or turn on camera button at the bottom of the video screen once you hover over it. Discord takes a little bit to get used to, and it's probably changed in the last 2 years that you haven't been on there. But
Oh, yeah. First time in 2 years.
yeah. So any questions you do have, literally about anything Cardano and probably anything Discord as well, I can try and help out with. We have this regularly, weekly, and it's always in the Hangout, and there's a chat feature that I drop links into, and you can ask questions, text questions, if someone else has got me engaged in a question. If you want to see that chat, if you hover over the Hangout title again, and then there's 3 icons that appear on the right, and one of them is open chat, and that will then display the chat for you. So I'll just drop a message in there. And that is persistent, so it'll be around after the call's ended. You can always get back there just by doing those same steps and pick up on any links that we drop and share. So yeah, they were just the guys were just asking about how the Cardano summit was, and I was saying I really enjoyed it. It was great. It was a really well run event. Considering it was only a community event, that was excellent. What did you think?
Yeah, very very well coordinated, organized, and enjoyed it. Could have done with more speakers, but really enjoyed it. First time I've been to a community event there.
Okay, yeah, they did it. They filled it quite well, I think, for speakers. But certainly, it would be nice to have had some Q&A from the audience. Some sessions like that would have been great. And it would have been nice to have more representatives from Cardano Foundation or IOG and things like that. But I think most of them were scooped up into the main event in Lausanne in Switzerland. But I'm sure it will evolve from here. London's always going to be a big attractor. However, I got massive fear of missing out, massive FOMO from not making it to Switzerland, because some of the people I've been most closely working with for the past 18 months, most of them were there actually, all getting together for the first time post-COVID, and I didn't make it, so I feel like I missed out on a lot of hugs from people that I've spent most of my working life with for the past 18 months. So it was a shame, but I really enjoyed the London event regardless.
How often do the summits happen, Jonathan? Are they regular events or?
I think they're going to be annual. So I went to my first one last year in London as well, and that was the main event then. So there was a lot more people. There was a lot bigger venue, a lot more swag about, and that was great. This one was the main one was in Switzerland this time. So I guess that's going to be rotating globally.
Okay.
But there were 50 city events around the world, physical meetups that all had funding from the Cardano Foundation to help pay for some costs. But all of them were put on by community members. So it was
okay. And all on the same day or the same then?
Yeah.
Time. Right.
Okay. So it was kind of like the Cardano I don't know, festival week or something, because it kicked off with Scotsfest in Edinburgh University. IOG were announcing another $4.5 million of funding to the blockchain research department that they've got set up there. And they're the guys that are working on a blockchain, how does he phrase it? A blockchain trust index or something. So it's basically going to give scores on decentralization, stability, tokenomics to the largest chains, or to all the chains, so that actually we can have an academic driven scoring system for the blockchains and give us some additional ammo for our due diligence and looking at chains. So that's interesting. And they did 2 days of Scotfest, probably 3 for the parties. They had lectures from IOG professionals, Cardano Foundation, academics from universities. They had professors, cryptographic authors, and also heads of other chains as well came and spoke. So it was a really quite impressive gathering, all talking about the latest cutting edge tech in blockchain, which was really good. And again, another thing I wish I'd gone up for, because it was open to community if you applied. And that seemed actually quite an intimate event, really. And then that kicked off. So after those 2 days, I think it was a Friday and Saturday. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. And then the summits were Sunday, Monday. So Lausanne's kicked off on the Sunday, and London replicated it. I thought there was going to be a bit more streaming actually between the two events, so we could see some stuff from Lausanne and vice versa. But they were just independent events, and we did our own thing, and they did theirs. However, there's a whole load of video material being published. Certainly from the Lausanne event, all the Scotsfest stuff's up there as well. And there's some really good, interesting stuff that you can find out about. So the big announcements about the midnight stablecoin privacy chain, came from IOG at Scotsfest, and then Emergo announced the USDA stablecoin being launched, which is very exciting to actually have a collateral-based stablecoin on Cardano, because that will certainly give a massive boost to the DeFi space. Thinking about it, all our exchanges have been operating without stablecoins, and the volumes going through them is pretty impressive, and the value locked in them is huge. So actually, now we've got USDA, so we can actually transfer and exchange in and out of our trades into a kind of stable coin. The dollar's a bit volatile, really, but yeah, that's going to be huge for everybody who trades, certainly.
And then more as well, just from Charles Hoskinson about governance as well.
He talks about that every time. Was there something particular that you heard?
Just that he was looking at. I thought he made mention that it was more control to the people type of thing. Just watched one section of it, and he'd set up obviously 2 whiteboards.
Yes, yeah.
Something about governance then.
Yes, so he's probably talking mostly about the members-based organisation that they're introducing. So and this is to do with Cardano as a whole. They want to, and I have some concerns, some reservations about it. We'll see how it goes. But it's a way to create some governance, some input into the design development decisions being made by a wider audience. So a members-based organization will be made up from people who either give their time into operating in Cardano, and so we'll have a say in terms of, and I guess it will boil down to some kind of voting rights or consensus mechanism within itself, and it will then feed into the decisions being made around Catalyst and Cardano parameters and all these sorts of things. So these sorts of things. That's exactly what Charles says every time. I'm starting to sound like him. It's going to be a problem. So the members-based organization will either be people who put their time into it, or by people who pay to have a seat. And so the people who will be paying will be guys I'm envisioning possibly universities, probably large private organizations. So Binance maybe could have a say in it, because Binance are running a whole load of stake pools. The largest centralized exchange. They are doing extremely well out of this FTX debacle. So their power is only going to increase, and their voice become more powerful. And so they may be able to pay for a voice in the Cardano decision making stuff. Thank you. So yeah, that's the half of it that I'm a bit concerned about. Is actually if we can have people just rocking up with a bunch of cash and getting a seat at the table, that's not going to do as many favors in my mind. The design for the organization is taken from the like they've studied Linux Foundation, for example, to see how their member-based organization behaves and how successful it is, and that's done very well. So they're hoping that they can achieve the same sort of thing, creating more of a decentralized approach to decisions and input into the wider chain. But from voices outside of just IOG or CF or Imergo. But actually, the voices are pretty much just IOG anyway. So. But yeah, that was interesting, and I'd heard about that previously, and I imagine I'm kind of thinking that people from the community will end up getting slots if they're operating in roles like, I mean, sure there'll be stake pool guilds having representation and alliances, and then also sorry, I didn't actually click return on that. I was dropping the link through to the summit, and then also you'll have I've lost my train of thread now. Train of thought. So I was talking about the members of the organization who'll be paying their way to Citadix, so it could be guys like Binance, but community-based ones will be like Catalyst operators and delegated representatives probably, and the stake pool guilds and so on and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see how that formulates, what sort of decision power they'll be given, and the ultimate goal for this is to move. So some fundamentals about Cardano. There are 7 Genesis keys for the chain, and those keys were created. The first private key pairings were created at the inception of the blockchain, so the launch of it. Really, there were 7 of them created so that you could have a decent distribution of multi-signature decisions. So those keys are distributed between IOG, Imergo, and Cardano Foundation, and those keys have to be the ones that sign decisions that change the parameters within Cardano. So say we wanted to increase the rate of release or change the rate of return on the stake pool delegators get, that would be a Cardano parameter that we could tweak, or increasing the ideal number of stake pool operators on the chain. That will be a parameter change that those keys are needed to actually implement. So they were handed to Imergo and Cardano Foundation, generated in IOG, handed to Imergo and Cardano Foundation. I think Cardano Foundation still hold theirs, but the Imergo ones actually got handed back to IOG at some point. So they've got too much custody in IOG's hands. And so this members organization is actually about creating a wider board that can actually have those keys distributed. Then the decision making will be much more decentralized, which is what Charles's vision, IOG's behavior has all been towards. Let's decentralize this thing as much as possible. Let's get it out into the hands of everybody who participates, rather than keeping it within the confines of IOG. So IOG is an entity, is a private organization. It has a registered country of operations. If that nation state's government decided to go after them for some reason, then that would put the chain at risk and all the operations going on it. To a certain extent, certainly the operations would change. The chain itself would probably continue now, because the full architecture of the operating the stake pools are all now in the hands of the global community. So IOG doesn't have any nodes that are required for the operating of the chain anymore, which is amazing. They still run infrastructure nodes, and they're still referred to heavily by lots of the stake pool operations, but we could survive without them, is the thing. And the parameters within the blockchain that gave managed that transition from Cardano running all the stake pools to IOG running all the stake pools to the community running them, has happened over the last couple of years. And at the hard fork previous to this one, the D parameter, the D? I think it might have been D. Yeah, I think it was a D parameter was removed, and that was the one that decided on the portion, the ratio of how many IOG pools there would be in comparison to community ones. And so that's now been removed, and so it can never be added back in unless there's a consensus to do that. So IOG doesn't have that power anymore. It's really handed over, and that's why when it came to launching at the last hard fork, why there was a delay, because IOG said, yeah, it's time to go, put the new software live, and the stake pool operators went, and we don't want to, and so didn't upgrade their nodes, and IOG could do nothing about it. And that's because the community run all the pools, not IOG. So we actually have got decentralized power, and it is being executed as needed. And the delay was fine. It was the right decision. There were 2 different bugs being talked about, and Charles had got one end of the stick, and the community got another end. And so there was a bit of a falling out for a brief, week, but it was all a bit of drama and over nothing. And we launched, and it's been absolutely seamless since. In fact, operating more smoothly than ever before.
I did hear, and I have you contradict me. I believe the token for midnight is dust, and they were talking about it launching Q1 of 23, and there's a potential for delegation that you'll get both ADA and dust.
Yeah. So I haven't looked into the mechanics yet, but there was a couple of things that Charles said that were very interesting. One is that it will use the existing architecture, so I can imagine that dust and midnight will just roll out onto the Cardano chain somehow. But it's going to be a secondary layer, so like a side chain. But the existing infrastructure, all the stake pools that currently run Cardano, will some have the ability to be running midnight nodes as well. So whether that will be an opt-in thing or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, that will then give us a whole load of new revenue opportunities from operating stake pools and supporting the network, which would be good for all the operators and for all the delegators as well, because more features that can be run by the community, by the chain community, the more opportunities for rewards there will be. So one of the fascinating things that is actually now technically possible on chain is for input endorsers. So at the moment we've got blocks on Cardano being created every 20 seconds. So that's like the heartbeat of the network. Every 20 seconds there's a block produced, and it's sent around all the nodes on the chain to be adopted into the chain. And then that's, once it hits a certain number, then it's reached permanence and can't be removed, can't be de-written from the ledger. And that's going to be massively increased when input endorsers are switched on, because effectively you'll have the existing 20-second blocks operating as sort of control nodes, control blocks for 100 blocks operating in between. So there'll be 100 blocks every 20 seconds rather than just one, or 101 probably. And by doing that, then every block production still creates a reward, but there'll be much more rewards to give, like in terms of quantity, number of blocks being minted, and so the block production rate will go up massively, and that means that the reward rate will be much more granular. So as a small pool operator, we will be given much more regular opportunities to mint blocks, and so get our rewards much more regularly. So at the moment they're very sporadic. We haven't had a block for 10 epochs or something like that, 10 5-day periods. And when the next block does come, it's going to be bigger rewards than we'll have. So the idea is that over the year it averages out to between 3.5% and 5% realistically. And so we should see, I think we're sitting at about 3.5% return on our year so far. But that will hopefully, certainly will definitely, instead of being sporadic, we'll get our rewards every 10, 2 months or something like that. At the moment, with the number of delegation we've got, our rewards will be coming out every 5 days. So that'll be a more comfortable situation. Won't mean you have to be around for so long to see any rewards. And again, briefly going over the beautiful benefits of the Cardano staking is that there's no locking period, so you can stake with me and then you can move it on, and within that, as soon as that 5-day period, wherever you are within it, the next one it'll switch over to the other pool. So in fact, there's a full 5-day period between, so you switch it now and then tomorrow there'll be a new epoch, run for 5 days, and then you'd be changed by the next pool. But in the meantime, you can always move your ADA from your wallet into another one and stake that that's already staked elsewhere. So if I do something that you hate, you can react against me, which is power to the people, which is great. And the reward mechanisms are all done to incentivize across the board. So if our block production drops below that sort of range that we're in now, between 3.5% and 5%, then you'll know that actually technically I'm not operating the pool correctly, and you can move on. But it's a really well designed system. No slashing, no locking, no punishments for bad operators other than you vote with your feet who walk elsewhere, and it's not restricted just to staking. You can still do other things on chain with it, so you can enter it into certain exchanges and have those delegate that delegate power, that stake power, still being used elsewhere, and you can still receive the rewards for it. So it's very cool, very powerful. Any questions before I monologue any further?
Cardashift. They don't seem to be having a very good rep at the moment.
No, there's a couple of things that came up that I wasn't that I saw that just gave me a stop and think. Their forum haven't responded to your requests, so the support's not quite there. They are a very big team. We look at the website and they've got several employees, and when support stops happening and there's a large team and we're at the bottom of a bear market, then I start to feel a little bit nervous about them as an operation. And on that note, actually, Cardano's had its worst week for a long time in terms of, worst week ever in terms of projects that have been given a whole load of money, deciding that they can't deliver what they were hoping to. So this week we've seen the demise of Ardana, which is a large build on Cardano that I think had got about $10 million worth of funding through various means, through venture, Cardano Venture Capitalists, a C fund from 3 Arrows Capital, and also some Catalyst and money I think was in there as well. So to have $10 million go to a project and then them turn around and say, we can't actually afford to carry on anymore, is really disappointing. So Ardana is one and Orbis is the other. And actually the two teams have a whole load of crossover. So realistically, it was kind of running as one big project. Orbis was going to be a secondary tier side chain type thing that would give a whole load of additional processing compute power speed to the network, but that's now on hold, and they're looking for sort of rescue investment to come in, which may happen still, but there's a whole load of rumors about founders in those projects that don't look great as well, about infighting between some of the largest projects in Cardano, the founders sitting on each other's advisory boards and then falling out with those teams, and so when you're in that sort of position where you're a strong blockchain developer, you've got history of running teams and projects, you can come into a new chain with your historic reputation, good or bad, and then get a seat on an advisory board for a new project that successfully wins a whole load of funding off the back of your reputation or others, and then you as a reward are given a whole load of those team tokens right at the start, pre-token generation. You're allotted some, and so if you're a large holder of these early day tokens, when you decide to sell because you've fallen out with that project or that whoever's related to that native token, you decide to sell them to get out, which is a bit like Binance did. CZ from Binance did with the FTT. He was on he was working with FTX in the early days, was given a whole load of FTT tokens, and then he popped up on Twitter and said, we're getting rid of all our remaining FTT allocation, which is everything Immerich is right to do, same as these Cardano projects I'm referring to. But of course, there is always fallout from a large dump of tokens, sale of tokens on chain, and in FTT's case, that triggered a whole load of financial pressure on FTX, and then the House of Cards came completely apart, and the mass corruption within that organization has come to light since. So not saying that's the case with Cardano, but I'm saying that the impact of a founder holding a whole load of tokens in any project is, not even founder, an advisory board, whether that's a venture capital firm or technical advisors, them holding a whole load of tokens is never a good thing, because we're humans fall out with humans and then do things that they didn't think they would do in their glorious happy state at the beginning. And so tokens were dumped, prices have dropped on those tokens as a result. And so the tokens that have been affected within Cardano have been the INDY token, which is in fact, I did want to talk about that. So there's a whole load of new really important DeFi primitives coming on board. Stablecoins seem to be the thing to talk about at the moment. So we've got now Indigo, who have released their IUSD, which is kind of really the first stablecoin on Cardano, and it's a self-collateralized stablecoin. So what you can do, it's very clever. You go into the Indigo platform, you say, I want to produce some IUSD, so some Indigo USD, which is pegged to the dollar, and I'm going to over collateralize it. So I'm going to put in 180% of actual ADA value in dollars into the platform, and I'm going to get so I'll give like I don't know what the dollar equivalent is for ADA, I can't do it in my head, but say it's like I'm going to put in 10 ADA and I'm going to get back $1, and that's you over collateralizing that dollar. But then you can take that IUSD and use it as a stable coin in other platforms, and the Indigo platform. So that gives you some stability then for your trade, somewhere to trade in and out of while there's volatility going on. And so that's the first real usable stable coin on. And their INDY token got hit by one of the founders in these collapse projects dumping their tokens. And there was then rumors about the founders being related and stuff, and ended up in drop in price of the INDY tokens. There was also the I forget the other token that was impacted. But anyway, I'll dig that out and come back to you on it. But the other sort of stable coins that are releasing on Cardano are suddenly all appearing at once. So we've got IUSD just launched, which is actually usable now, but you have to put the collateral in yourself. And you've got USDA, which from Emergo, which is going to be the 1-to-1 US dollar backed stable coin. So that's very exciting, because that will be, really on a same sort of tier as USDC from Circle, or which operates on the Ethereum chain, or Tether. So these big successful stable coins that are pretty well trusted in those ecosystems, they're going to be, the equivalent of that is going to be USDA on Cardano. And we've also got Mehen, which is a community project that's releasing a collateral one-to-one USD backed stablecoin. So actually, you can get involved with that project and provide collateral, put in your USD for that token, and that's going to be. I don't know the launch date on that one. I only came across them recently. I've heard about them for a while, but I've actually started looking after this noise about stablecoins. So that's coming. We've also USDA will launch in January. They're hoping, I think. Mahan, I'm not sure. IUSD's already launched, and then we've got some others as well. So there is Sigma USD, which is the algorithmically backed stablecoin designed by the IOG team, but launched on the Ergo blockchain, and that's been operating for a year or so, been through the bull market and the bear market and kept its peg to the dollar, so very encouraging. And for an algorithmic backed stablecoin, uses other crypto tokens to provide the collateral rather than fiat currency, so it's got much more attractive thing long term. But the only one we really get to talk about at the moment is Terra and Luna, which was a huge, horrible mess. And so the alternative, which was its own ecosystem. So Cardano now has its equivalent, but hopefully technically much more robustly, stability in mind. And that is going to be on Cardano. It's going to be JED. It was tried out on Ergo as Sigma USD, and what's being talked about is actually to bring wrapped Sigma USD over onto the Cardano blockchain as well. So that might happen faster than getting JED launched. JED, developed by Coty team, they say they're going to have that ready to launch in January as well. So then we'll have a fiat-backed stablecoin and a algorithmic-backed stablecoin, and you can have your choice of the two. Plus then a wrapped Sigma and potentially a Mehen fiat-backed token, community token as well. So it's all happening at once, like buses. They've all turned up. Yeah, interesting.
Just something else that completely changed the subject. Preloaders. I've got another wallet that's delegated somewhere else, and I get tokens, and instead of like going just one epoch, it looks like these ones accumulate. So you can take a couple of like 5 or 6 epochs before you claim them, and it's only one cost. I think it's 0.17 ADA compared to every epoch taking up the sums, and you obviously lose more money that way. So that's worth thinking about.
That is in the works. So that's how our bonus tokens will be distributed, and that sounds just like the Smartclaims platform. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's it. Smartclaims one.
Cool. So yeah, our application. So I've been involved in the Gimbal Labs team, which is one of the oldest projects in Catalyst, born out of Catalyst, and they do Plutus education, and have also built various things in and around community projects. And they have launched a tokenomics working group. They launched a tokenomics working group middle of last year, which I was involved in. And the token that we've come up and the tokenomics design around it has resulted in the Gimbal token. So that is the token that I'll be giving out as bonus rewards for staking to Fluid Pool. So this isn't your ADA rewards, this is additional things that pools can do to incentivize delegation. So I'll be distributing Gimbal tokens, and the platform we applied to is the Smartclaims platform from the Freeloaders team. And specifically for that reason was one of the strongest arguments for going with them over the other platforms like DripDropz or TosiDrop, is that the tokens accumulate. So instead of having to go every 5 days to pick up your tokens, or you lose out on the chance, you can actually just go when it's convenient to you, or when there's a decent amount built up that you want to get your hands on. You can just go in and grab them all, say every month or every quarter or something, with knowing that you won't lose out on on the epochs that you miss going. And so even though they'll be available every 5 days, you can leave them and pick them up, less frequently, which is great. Really good feature, because you're reducing on the transaction fees, like Paul says, and also it's just nobody wants to be tied to any routine unnecessarily, and there's really no legitimate reason for you to be going and having to pick up your bonus rewards every 5 days. So Smartclaims thought, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Let's do it again ourselves, and created this. And they're a good team. I really like them. They're very, very heavily minded on decentralization. So another of their efforts is opening up the submit API that wallets run on to stake pool operators. So to help organize stake pool operators, open up their submit API endpoints for wallet service. So within Eternal Wallet, you can change from the default API endpoint, which is how the wallet, the software, talks to the blockchain. It goes through a node on the chain, and so by default, the Eternal Wallet and Giro and Flint and Yoroi and Daedalus and all these wallets come with a default API endpoint, which is either one of the projects themselves pay and run for, or it uses Blockfrost, which is a large provider of the service. But again, all these are centralized solutions, and really we want it to go straight to thousands, potentially have thousands of different nodes running those. And so the Smartclaim, the Freeloaders guys, built up that system for opening up pool operators that submit APIs, and by being a part of that ecosystem, then you can get some Freeloaders tokens given to you. So at some point, I will open up our endpoint to the whole community, the fluid pool endpoint. But at the moment, I'm just restricting that to delegators, and I need to work with someone actually other than myself to get that going. So perhaps that could be you, Paul. At some point, we'll get together and I'll show you how to do it. But that's again a decentralized mindset, which is very important. And the more we can say, okay, there's no one entity that's running this. So Luke picked up on it as well this week. The MetaMask wallet has got another centralizing major impact happening, in that the guys behind the infrastructure for it, Infura and Consensus, the team who built the MetaMask wallet, they're doing well, and so they start to attract attention. And when you get attention, there's an ask in there somewhere. And so at the moment, they're looking at changing their terms and conditions for the default API endpoints that the MetaMask wallet uses, which is Infura. They're asking, basically saying, when you use us, we have the right to track your IP address. And so that is probably a mandate that's come down from whichever jurisdiction Infura are operating from, which I think is the States. So effectively, it means if there was a subpoena to requisition data from Infura, they could actually pull your transaction information from MetaMask down into some government database and interrogate it and go and find bad guys, which is fine to an extent. But when we're trying to create a decentralized, permissionless blockchain, if 90% of the wallet infrastructure is running on centralized nodes, then you're just creating a target for coercive forces to come after your cash or whatever their agenda is. So decentralizing every aspect of the chain is paramount within Cardano. That's what we're going for. Well, that's wallet infrastructure, chain infrastructure, decision making. Got to distribute it all. Got to get it out there. So yeah, Smartclaims platform will be coming soon. I'll be talking about it. So everything's signed off. We've got the initial stake pools who will be operating, who'll be able to issue this first set of bonus rewards of Gimbal tokens. You can already get it from the two founding teams stake pools. So that's Gimbal Pool, and GMBL, and Peace Pool. PEACE, run by James and Roberto, respectively. James is in US, Roberto is in Spain. So we've obviously got some decentralization just within that. But now we're adding in an additional 9 pools, 7, 8 pools, which are all community pools. They've all got decentralization mindset, and you're the first to hear about this sort of publicly, and so that will be launching. We've got all the technicals signed off. It's now just being implemented on the Smartclaims platform. The Smartclaims is a DAO in and of itself, so we had to win a vote to be able to have our token listed on that Smartclaims platform, which we passed unanimously, which is great. And so within 2 weeks, I've been told, you should be able to start collecting your Gimbal tokens from for being a delegate to Fluid Pool. And I'll come back next week with the list of other pools, because I can't remember them offhand as well. So if I disappear, something happens to me, or you just fall out, then these other pools are ones that I can recommend strongly. However, there are lots of, I don't know how much everyone's aware of, but within the Cardano ecosystem, there are lots of these distribution platforms. Not lots, there's a few of these distribution platforms popping up where you can, if you delegate your ADA to a community pool, then you can get your ADA rewards from the chain itself, but then you can get these bonus rewards by requesting them from projects who put their tokens on there to try and garner followers and attention and to create value within their ecosystem. And so the platforms that we've talked about several times are DripDropz, which was the first one that launched, and you can go on there and see the largest selection of tokens available out there. You can collect several, I think it's like 10 per epoch for about 5 ADA in total. So you're handing over some ADA to collect these tokens, but these are early day tokens, and they, next bull run, if the project is doing well, they could rise in value a lot faster than ADA even. So you can look on DripDropz. The other one that I recommend you look at, particularly at the moment, is that there is token distribution for the INDY token, which is again the one I mentioned got impacted by a founder falling out with another founder and dumping his INDY tokens because he was on the advisory board. Well, Indigo protocol, their token is still very, very solid. Their platform's just launched. They're the first stable coin on Cardano. I've got, I hold them in high regard. I've seen him on several community calls, been involved in technical discussions, and they seem like a solid team. So I was very happy to go and collect those from TosiDrop for being a delegator to any of the Cardano stake pools that have committed to being a single stake pool operator. So that's members of the CSPA Alliance. You can go to TosiDrop and collect an allocation of INDY tokens as long as you were staking from a certain point. So Carol, you started staking just a little too late to get in on that. There may still be some INDY tokens available by the time your switch round comes. But yeah, that you asked a question earlier this week, and that was unfortunately the answer at the moment. So hopefully, if there's such a large portion being given to the distribution platform, and not many people hear about it until a bit later, then you may still get in on the action. But all you guys have already been staked to any of the CSPA pools, including Fluid Pool. You can go to TosiDrop and get hold of the INDY token. So maybe I'll do a little bit of screen sharing now. I'll just get it up. So the INDY token is from Indigo protocol. If anybody's new to Discord, I just started streaming. So on one of the chat windows, you can click on it, and it will be the stream of my desktop rather than just video. Shout out if you can't see the stream. But yeah, this is the Indigo protocol. Nice website, been around for a long time. Community looks good. You can go and investigate the tokenomics. It seems to be a fair distribution. It's 25%, which is quite large for the team, but that's okay. I can live with that. And you're getting these tokens pretty much for free anyway, so I wouldn't let that put you off. Johnny Ngoon's a guy I really trust. He works for IOG and has been great in some of the community calls. He was working on some of the governance issues or governance opportunities within Cardano to create a community-based governance system. He was working on a project, a program that's called the DCF last year, and that's when he really came for me to see him. So for him to be on there as an advisor is a good sign. They've had audits done on their protocol, so they've paid out a lot of money to get these audits done by Tweeg and MLabs. These are two of the main audit teams within Cardano, and that means they've gone over all the smart contracts that have been written and picked out any bugs they could find. And Indigo, the guys that are launching this IUSD, have launched this first stablecoin. So their own token, which is unrelated to the IUSD, is INDY. And so if you wanted to check out their INDY token their tokenomics before you go and grab the token, but I think it's worthwhile anyway because I shall show you. You can look on, so Taptools is a good tool for looking at all the native token performance on Cardano. So these are the tokens from teams and small projects that haven't made it into the awareness of CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko and these guys yet, but you can go on here and see price action from the past while. So on here you can see the INDY token is currently priced at 6.8 ADA, and so when I went on there, I think each wallet was able to pick up 10 INDY tokens, and it costs you 1.5 ADA to pick them up. So you're spending 1.5 ADA to get 68 ADA's worth of INDY tokens back. Seems like a pretty good deal to me. So do go and check that out if you haven't already. See if you're eligible for some of these from TosiDrop to get hold of some of these INDY tokens. So on TosiDrop, yeah.
Is it a good idea to connect your wallet in this Taptools?
Taptools, yes. I mean, I've been doing it. I'm happy to do that. I did it as part of getting the Gimbal token verified on the platform, but there's no real reason to do it. So if you're not going to be using it a lot, I wouldn't bother. It just, anytime you expose your wallet to a DApp, you are exposing it to a bit more risk. So if you've got no real need, then don't bother. If you're very interested in keeping track of the tokens and the value of them within your wallet so that you can make trading decisions or buy and sell decisions, which as an active investor you probably should do, so that argument can be made, then yeah, you're fine to connect your wallet. I've had no issues with it, but yeah, it's fine. It's a good platform. TosiDrop, to collect your tokens, then I've decided I'm happy to connect my wallet, and just to do that, there is a manual method where you don't have to connect your wallet. You can just, so by connecting your wallet to a DApp, you are then giving the wallet, giving the application, so this is the TosiDrop team in this instance, or the Taptools team, you're giving the developers in that team the permission to have their code interact with your wallet. So that will be able to prompt you to sign transactions. So if they form a transaction, and then prompt you to sign it, if you click yes, then that transaction, whatever was in it, will be executed. And so if you think of it like I'm signing a check. So every time you connect your wallet and sign a transaction, it's like signing a check, and it could be a blank check. So that's a bit you don't really know. If you're signing something that has got a bug in it, it may not be the team itself. If it's got a bug in it, then by signing, you could be signing something that has been corrupted or coerced in some way. So safety first is always the approach. Think about security. Let's talk about security. Let's not try and hide issues or concerns or potentials. Let's think about vulnerabilities. Let's be paranoid minded, like any good crypto person should be. But ultimately, you're always weighing up risk, reward, functionality for restrictions. So you play that game. You create your own line. You design your own rules around it, and you go for it. So I'm very happy in my rules to connect my small holdings, my hot wallets, to Taptools and to TosiDrop. But I have my main holdings in a hardware wallet type situation, cold storage. I actually use an air-gapped laptop because I need to sign some transactions on there in itself offline, and then bring those online signed in a different way to just using a hardware wallet. But yeah, I will be getting a hardware wallet for my hot wallets as well soon, because yeah, it's just sensible. It just is a no-brainer. Get one and make sure you use it. But at the moment, I'm fine with my small holdings in my hot wallets to interact with these platforms. So with TosiDrop, you don't have to connect your wallet. What you can do is just take the receive address from your wallet. So let's go to here. Let's look at the receive address. Let me copy that. I can take that, paste it into TosiDrop. Check my rewards. Carol, you've just gone through this, so well done. And then you can see which tokens are available for you to collect from TosiDrop with that wallet. Now, I haven't connected my wallet to it. I've just put in the receive address, which is safe to use. It's like giving someone your sort code and account number. They can't really do anything with it other than send money to you. So that's kind of, this is the stable approach. Secure approach is only just giving them your address. And then for me, say, to collect these MKA tokens, excuse me, which is a premium token, which means it comes at an additional cost, then the instruction, please send only from the wallet with the same stake key. So from the wallet that I've put in this receive address, I'll go back to that same wallet and send. So I'll create a transaction of my own making in the wallet that I trust and send it to this receive address, which is this one here. You can also scan the QR code, and that's me then controlling that transaction. I'm not connecting my wallet to it. I'm just sending money out of my wallet, out of my account, to the TosiDrop platform, expecting them to then send the tokens back to me. And so that's the one approach. That's the more secure approach, safety-minded approach. For convenience, if you trust these guys and you're doing it every 5 days for a long time, then you might just want to connect your wallet, which I'm also happy to do. So then you click connect, get the little pop-up, select your wallet, and it's not working. For some reason, it's not working today. Oh, maybe it's because I haven't actually switched on the DApp connector for that wallet. That'll be it. So in Eternal, you've got this little plug icon. Am I still streaming okay? Yeah. You can hit that, and that's connecting the DApp to the or allowing DApp connectors to connect to the wallet. And then you can go to TosiDrop, click connect, hit Eternal, and it will then connect to that open connector on the wallet, and it's been able to pull in the receive address from the wallet. And then I can check my rewards. And this time when I do it, because I've used the DApp connector for convenience, I can select the tokens I want to claim, hit claim my rewards, and now it's got this send ADA button. So if I click that send ADA button, it will open a pop-up window from my wallet, which I will share with you as well. So if I just switch screens to yeah, it's going to let me. There it is. So I think you should be seeing my transaction window. So so the TosiDrop connector has prompted, sent an instruction down the DApp connector to the wallet, the internal wallet, and saying I want to forward, I want this transaction to happen. So in this case, I'm relying on TosiDrop to form the transaction. I can go and see and verify it's as expected. So in this window, it's describing it's going to be sending funds from my wallet. So the numbers are in red. So that's, I always think of it as that's the money I'm losing in this transaction. So I'm going to be giving them 2.5 ADA here. I've got an additional fee of 0.168 ADA here. And I think that's going to actually within that 2.56. And then the output from this transaction is going to be, you don't need to think about the outputs in this case because we're just sending the money out to our wallet. But effectively, I'm using a £485 note in my wallet to pay for this. I'm going to get back 483 in change, and 2.4 will go to 2.4 plus the 0.168 will go to TosiDrop to pay for the transaction fee and the purchase of the tokens. So if I was to put in my spending passphrase now and sign that, I'll be sending out 2.5 ADA, and I'll then expect their TosiDrop platform to send me the reward tokens, which in this case is these MKA tokens. But I'm not interested in those MKA ones, so I'm going to decline that transaction. It's down to you to research those projects to see whether you want to collect them or not. But the one I'm happy to tell you I'm collecting, and so in my opinion it's worthwhile, are these INDY tokens, because you can see on the exchange, on the aggregator, that the INDY is trading at a decent price, and they've just launched their IUSD, so that I think the token value will go up from here. Really, you can even go in and see the charts since launch. So it's only it's not a bad deal, is it? Shouldn't damage us too quickly. So yeah, the token price launched at about 11.5. So it's a really good all-time high of 12.5. Now trading around at 6.8. This was that founder token dump I was mentioning. So that dropped it from sort of the 9 range down to the 6.8. But we're sticking around there, so looks like probably not going to go much further unless there's any more dumps. But even still, you're paying 1 to get 6, so it's all right in my book. Yeah, so there we go. That's a way to go and get some free bonus tokens for staking with Fluidpool.
Jonathan, is TosiDrop compatible with the Yoroi wallet?
Yep.
is.
Yeah. So, and that's the beauty again about the system is you have to try and think that the wallets, whether that is Nami, Yoroi, Eternal, Giro, Typhoon, Flint, Daedalus, they are just windows onto the blockchain, and so you can load any of those wallets up with your existing seed phrase that was created in one of those wallets. You can load it up in another wallet to be able to query the blockchain and sign transactions on the blockchain. So if you have a working Cardano wallet, which includes all of those, then you can use any of the other wallets and any of the platforms. So this one has a DApp connector for so TosiDrop has a DApp connector for Eternal, Flint, and Nami. So it doesn't support Yoroi, doesn't support Typhon and all these other guys. So actually, you may think that prevents you from ever using a DApp connector, but in fact, no. It just means that you need to go open up an Eternal wallet. Say you've got yours in Yoroi, to be able to use it. I mean, you can do it anyway just by putting your receive address in there, and that'll be fine. But if you wanted to use a DApp connector for convenience down the road, then you could go into Eternal, set up a new wallet there. Import your seed phrase that you've got from Yoroi into the Eternal wallet, and then you can use Eternal as the portal into the blockchain, and so it can then be the DApp connector for TosiDrop, and that way you get convenience. Yeah. So,
but if I didn't want to connect my wallet, would it recognise my receive address on Yoroi?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was brilliant. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, it's just one of those. Again, my list of things to do. I still haven't opened my Eternal wallet yet. So.
Yeah, no, it's there's technical overhead to any of these interactions, and you just you do them when it's worthwhile you doing them. Until it is, then there's you make do with where you're at. So until there's a heavy reason for you to use Eternal, which obviously hasn't been as of yet, then you're all right. And often there's workarounds, because ultimately all these addresses are on the chain. They're not actually in the wallets. The wallets are just being able to use those addresses. And so like this address, we can go and explore. So this is the deposit address for Tosi. So this address belongs to Tosi. And because it's an open, permissionless blockchain, I can go to a blockchain explorer. This is pool.pm, my favorite one. It's because it's graphical.
You're not actually sharing your screen at the moment.
Oh, sorry. Well done. Thank you for saying. There we go. So I've taken the deposit address for TosiDrop, which I got as if I was going to be sending them some ADA to get my INDY tokens back. I've taken their address and I'm going to put that into a blockchain explorer, which is pool.pm, and it will then show me the TosiDrop wallet. So we can see that the wallet is not staked anywhere, but it has received a whole load of these tokens. So Apex token, that is one of the pools that I'm happy to talk to you about, because he's a really good operator. He supported me personally in technical setup, answer questions for me. He's in the extra small stake pool alliance. So he's put a load of his tokens into the TosiDrop platform. We've got a load of World Mobile tokens. There's some Dana tokens. So they're the ones that that's the projects that's just collapsed. So those will unfortunately be worth very little now. I think at peak they were selling for about $11 each, and they're currently trading for about 5 cents or something. So huge crash, because the team have said they can't deliver on the project. So if you had bought into the token, then you're in a bad way now. So it's a reminder. Any of this stuff that we talk about, it's all opinions and thoughts. I can be as wrong on any project as anybody can. It's really down to you doing your own research, doing your own due diligence, making the decision for yourself, and being ready to blame no one but yourself if it goes pear-shaped. And if it's going to be too painful, you're going to do too much damage to yourself by putting the amount of money in to this if it collapses. You know, and it doesn't have to be, you know, it might not damage you financially very much, but it could psychologically damage you. Then don't do it. Just hold back. Put less in. Whatever, you know, be comfortable in your investments. Otherwise, you will always be uncomfortable. So yeah, I love this. You can go in and see who's starting to work with the TosiDrop platform. It's all on chain. It's all public information. Interestingly, this BISON coin suddenly has more interest to me because the guy who distributes that token is the first guy to really start talking about Ardana, and so Ardana is this project here, this token, as potentially not being able to deliver. So he was the founder of the Ardana team. He's been pointing fingers at and saying this guy has a really bad history of having failed projects in the past. He shouldn't be in the ecosystem. Don't invest your money. And so he had this meme coin where he's produced billions and billions of them with zero value, and he's been giving them out. But actually, his prediction for the demise of Ardana and Orbis has come out. So now his voice has more weight, and as a result, his token has more weight. So whether it will ever be worth anything of value, I don't know. But certainly, I will listen to his voice with a bit more respect now. Yeah, it's a fascinating world. So that's interesting. The Freeloaders token is in the TosiDrop platform for distribution as well. So it just shows the sort of collaboration there is in the ecosystem. Preloader is the team that have built the Smartclaims platform, which is kind of a rival to the TosiDrop and DripDropz platforms. But everybody's in the same ecosystem. Nobody wants to muddy the waters. In general, the atmosphere is really healthy in Cardano. There's some tensions raised recently because of the crash in the markets and the pressure everybody is under. But I think long term, the health of the ecosystem is borne out by the community and the way they interact with each other. And we've had so few fallouts. It's really encouraging for the future, particularly as you know, we've got a bull market to come next, because we're in the bottom of the bear market at the moment. So they are cycles. They come around like summer and winter. Just a matter of holding on. Cool. Anything else you want me to show you, or questions?
I just another question about Sunday Swap, Jonathan. That's another thing on my list of things to do. Has the Faucet? Is it the Faucet?
Yeah.
Is that available? Or?
That's what we're waiting for. I haven't checked for a couple of months because I've just got so fed up with checking. But I haven't heard any news. I suspect, I don't know. I think their focus is elsewhere now, and the Faucet may never appear, and they may just leave their token for distribution solely on DripDropz. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it and say I'm going to go and pick mine up from DripDropz now rather than wait for their Faucet any longer. They're a good team, good decks. I don't personally use them, but that's only because I prefer the more community ones like MinSwap and but the Sunday Swap token still has good value. Solid team. They're working on higher. They've got higher targets than some of the other dexes. I think they're looking at. They've actually shown a working proof of their dex or parts of their functionality running on Hydra, which is Hydra is a sidechain mechanism within Cardano. So actually, that will be like having a separate chain that has a connection to the main net, but on that separate chain you can then tweak the parameters to be most efficient for your use case. So in the case of Sunday Swap, they're tweaking that Hydra head, that side chain, to be optimal for their software, to be optimal for their DEX. So they will be able to process transactions far faster than any other DEX when it comes to when they get it launched on mainnet. So they've shown a working case, a working test case, minimal viable product at it was either CNFT Con or Consensus or Pure Rare Bloom, one of the US conferences last month. They demoed them using a Hydra head for their decks, which is very cool. So their token, as a result, I think has got longevity to it. So yeah, I think that they're probably working on stuff like that, which is far more technically challenging than creating a faucet. And that, the fact they haven't produced a faucet in a year, I don't think they're going to now. I think we're probably better off just grabbing our tokens from DripDropz. So these Sunday Swap tokens have come about through an ISPO, so where you delegate to a certain stake pool for a certain period of time, you get given that project's tokens as a reward. And so Archie, myself, a few others have delegated to various pools that were in that Sunday Swap initial stake pool offering. But some of us haven't picked up our tokens yet, because the Sunday Swap team promised to have a faucet where we could go and get it from them directly for free, as opposed to stingily paying 1.78 or whatever it is to the DripDropz platform. But yeah, let's go and grab it from DripDropz and be done with it. And we can check it off
Brilliant.
the list.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Good question. I'll put that on my to-do list for the week. In fact, I could go and do it now. Is anyone interested in seeing me do it now?
Oh, yes, please.
Cool.
Yes, Uncle Sonan. Yeah, I've just check on your INDY and MK, those, while you are saying, I was just received those, but I would like to do the Sunday swap as well.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you, Sonan.
Excellent, well done.
Cool.
So we're making money right now. So I'm going to...
I will follow you at the time so that one thing is done.
Okay. we get all ticked off the list. So I'm going to Sunday Swap. It's found my open DApp connector on my Eternal wallet already and connected me. I suspect that's the wrong wallet to be eligible for my Sunday Swap rewards. And I'm now going to have to try and remember which wallet it was that I used. So I think. Oh dear. Let me check my.
If you put a wrong wallet address in, Jonathan, can you just keep putting other ones in until you get the right one?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
Yes, you can. Yeah, so that's probably what I'll end up doing, unless I can figure it out from my my notes. I always like to test how good my note keeping has been, so I go there first, and it makes me improve on my notes. So just quickly check that. No, I'm on the wrong sheet. That'll be it. So my Sunday tokens are not listed. Interesting. So my notes have failed. So I'm going to add a line into my log of token holdings. And I maintain that on a spreadsheet rather than just relying on wallets and other platforms, because not everything has the ability to track everything, and so some things fall through the gaps, and you have to use different systems to connect to different things. And a spreadsheet, just rudimentary, works every time. I write it in there, it stays there. And I use Google Sheets as well, so I've got version history too. So I'm going to take a guess. I think it's going to be in this wallet. I'll open that one up. I'm going to go and I might just grab it, an address from there. Let's go for the. I'm doing the wrong thing anyway. So you don't want to go to Sunday Swap app. You want to go to the DripDropz platform. From here, you can claim your Sunday Swap tokens if you're eligible for them. So I will put the address in. Oh wow, let's go to dark mode. Can't cope with that. Am I sharing the right screen still? Yes, good. I'm going to drop my drop my address into this box on the home screen to check my drops. Oh, I think that was the wrong address. Can we filter on here? Filter Sunday. Yeah, so I don't have any tokens to pick up from that wallet, but I think that was my stake data wallet, and I actually need to get this address, which is going to be receive address from here. Copied. Drop that into oh dear, that should clear. Putting it over the top. Check my drops.
You need to create an account with DripDropz, or can you just basically put your wallet address in there?
Yeah, you can just put your wallet address in. So
I'm just trying to minimize the amount of accounts I have now as well, because it's just too much to kind of track. And
yeah.
yeah.
I know your pain.
On top of, yeah.
No, it's not that wallet either. So which one would it be?
Archie, Robin here. Hi.
This one. Hi, Robin.
Hi. I know everybody has wallets for different uses, and I haven't logged into my Eternal wallet since the middle of September. But what I was doing for the token collection is using. I picked one wallet. I decided to pick one wallet that was going to be my TosiDrop, DripDropz, that kind of functionality, and then for me that kept it. That meant all the because they're NFTs. Some of them are like there's tokens and NFTs. If Jonathan can show you where they show up on the wallets, it was that was what was helpful to me, is to decide where I was going to keep any NFTs and where I was going to keep just random tokens, and even consider other tokens that are like you're deliberate about, like maybe the gimbal tokens, the cornucopia tokens, if that's what you were interested in, put them in decide on a specific wallet or a strategy behind that wallet. And that's how I've used it from an organizational point of view. But like I said, I haven't done anything for a few months, so that strategy might be outdated now. That's how it works for me.
That's the problem.
That's Robin. Yeah, because I've currently got 3 wallets, because I'm in 3 staking pools. So the one that I staked with to get the Sunday swap tokens, I'm in Jonathan's one, and then I'm in Peace Pool as well. So and I just want to know, depending on which wallet address you put into DripDropz, does that determine which tokens you can collect? It does. Okay, so basically I've got to put all 3 in there.
Yeah. And I'm gonna.
And even you can. So ultimately, you can duplicate or you can get more of. Like you might put in all 3 addresses, and all 3 of them, for argument's sake, might offer you gimbals, but then they will go into 3 different wallets. And then maybe at a later stage, in my mind, I'm thinking the strategy would be, if it's not too costly to move them, at some point, like when technology gets a bit better, or the transaction fees are worth it, you could move one balance to the other. But that's what I mean about deciding which of your wallets. I think my biggest wallet, or my biggest holding of ADA, is the one that I'm mostly interested in receiving the DripDropz or the tokens from these sorts of websites, whereas I would only get ones that I was specifically interested in, like gimbals, from the other 2 wallets. I wouldn't go and get sort of more of the junky ones on those 2 lower value wallets. That makes sense?
So do your experimentation on a spam wallet that have your tidied ones that you aggregate your valuable tokens into. That's kind of what I do as well, Robin. And all my NFTs end up in one pretty much. And in fact, what I differ from that is if I have a wallet that I've got working with a particular ISPO. So I had a wallet for Meld that I was staking to Meld, and I received an NFT from being a long-term part of their ISPO, and so I now have that NFT sitting in that wallet, and I can even use that NFT as the icon for the wallet, so that it tells me a bit more. I can quickly see at a glance that's the Meld wallet. It's got the Meld NFT in it. But so you can do all sorts of organization tips and techniques that I'm sure people will come out with more innovative ways to do down the road. But yeah, it's very interesting. And I'm really struggling.
Talking of wallet, sorry, Jonathan, you mentioned, was it the Lace wallet that's coming out in January? Is that LACE?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So
would it be worthwhile for me holding off for that one to come out rather than doing Eternal?
Yeah, certainly. If you're not finding any restrictions in the wallet you're using currently, then there's no reason to switch. When the Lace wallet comes out, I think that's probably going to be so feature rich that and user friendly that it'll probably draw us all in. I'm still going to maintain an Eternal wallet because I love the team, love the guys, I want to use them. But the Lace wallet is going to have things like a voting center. So anybody that's interacting with Catalyst, that'll be a strong incentive to use a Lace wallet, because you'll be able to send your votes directly from the Lace wallet, browse the Catalyst projects from your wallet, and send your voting decisions from the wallet rather than having to run a separate. This is how I understand it. Run a separate Catalyst voting app on your mobile device, and then have your actual voting wallets on your desktop. It just is a disconnect that makes it cumbersome and difficult to do. So the voting platform within the new Lace wallet, voting center, I think it's called, is going to solve that apparently. So that will be a large incentive for me personally to move over to Lace for some of my holdings. And there's no reason for me not to do my day-to-day stuff in Eternal still, but have Lace there available for every quarter when the voting stuff is going on. But we'll see. It may just be so easy to use and so slick and nice and quicker to do some certain tasks that I'll start to use Lace more frequently. But there's some power features in Eternal which are absolutely genius. So, for example, when I'm sending out so if I'm sending out rewards to all of you, say, then I can construct a transaction in Eternal where I only pay one transaction fee, but I'm sending rewards to 10 different wallets, and it can go up to hundreds of different wallets if I want to, and I still only pay the one transaction fee, which is one of the uniquely awesome things about Cardano is that it's got this UTXO model. That means you can do things like that. You can reduce your transaction fees massively. You can increase the speed of delivery massively, just by the way that you form those transactions, the number of inputs and outputs you're putting into them. So yeah, a really, really cool way for a wallet to actually help me out in my daily life, which is why I rate Eternal so highly and do recommend it. So I've now tried 4 different wallets looking for these Sunday swap tokens. I can't find it, so I might just be a job for me to do one evening.
Jonathan, for the Sunday swap, Sunday token, I found it and my Eternal one of them. So in a DripDropz, you can select 10 coins at the same time, so that you can collect, including Sunday swap, Sunday, and then 9 other coins. You can do it at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I think the fee you pay increases the more tokens you select. So if you're, if there's 3 that you want, then only get 3. If actually you just, but if if there's 6 that you want, then actually you might as well just go for all 10 because the fee difference is not that much. But if there's just 1 and that's what you're going for, just a Sunday swap, then you can just do the 1 as well. And half the thing is I don't use DripDropz just because there's so much overhead in terms of looking at all the tokens available, trying to figure out which ones are worth anything and which ones are just dross. I just can't be doing that anymore. I don't bother going and collecting at all, which is an issue for them. TosiDrop, on the other hand, is very rare that I get more than 3 tokens offered to me, so I'm happy to go and check that every now and then. Sorry.
Just on your checking your four wallets, you know what that tells us? You have too many wallets.
I do have too many wallets. I'm a wallet addict. You've found me out. They are easy to set up, and because I don't put much in them, and I feel like I'm spreading my risk every time I do create a new one. I've created them quite willy-nilly, but I've now got technical debt in that I've got to maintain 14 different wallets. I should probably reduce that number and start to aggregate a bit better.
Yeah, I've just thanks very much. I've just got my 5 Indigo tokens for. I think it cost me something like 1.28 for the 5 tokens. So that's or 25 to 1. I'll live with that.
That's worthwhile. Yeah. The question now becomes is, are you suddenly now in love with INDY tokens and you're going to hold on to them forever until the markets rise, or crash? Is there going to be a controversy in the team and suddenly all that value's gone? Or just sell them now? Yeah. Which will you do?
My challenge to get as many as I can. So I'll go onto Maria's account and buy them too.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think I went through all my wallets checking to see if they're eligible for INDY, and I think it was like 5 of them in the end that were. Some of them didn't have any ADA in at the time the snapshot was taken, so then you weren't eligible for any. So yeah, you do have to hold some stuff in those wallets if you want to hoover tokens up from these platforms when the opportunity arises. But yeah, most of the tokens, most of the time, I'll say will never be worth anything. But in this case, in the case of INDY tokens, yeah, that's great. Any platform that launches, their token is going to have an associated value with it, in my mind. Just because we're still so early in the days of Cardano. I'm going to leave that as an exercise to do later. Go on.
Just as a matter of interest, Jonathan. So now that I've got them, how do I sell them? Because that's something I've never ever looked at. I just accumulate. I never sell anything.
Right. So that's a very good thing to quickly go through. So what I would do is just share screen again. I go to Taptools now first, see what their price is, and then what they do. Actually, I can't see it on here now. Is maybe it's only when you search. When you search for a token on Taptools, it shows you the price from the platform, from the DEXs, the decentralized exchanges, that they've been able to find them for sale. So INDY tokens are for sale on MinSwap, on SundaySwap, and on Wing Riders. So then it's a case of going to those platforms, checking the current price of INDY tokens, and deciding which one you're going to make your sale on, and then you're weighing up sort of transaction fees and the price of the token on that exchange. Out of loyalty and habit, which I suffer from far too much, I'll probably in this case just go to the MinSwap because I've already set them up with a DApp connector and everything. So then it'd be a case of that's the price. Apparently I can go to, actually I've got it open already. Go to the MinSwap DEX. Let me set up the DApp connector for For the wallet that's holding my INDY tokens, which I think is this one, go to MinSwap, and then you can go into trade. And
sorry, Jonathan, I stepped away from the computer. What you? I know you're showing us how to sell something, but you just did like a disconnect DApp thing on the wallet. So,
right, yeah.
So just to clarify, you're choosing the token that you want to sell, and so you go and find the wallet that you're holding, where you're holding that token, and we're talking about the INDY one.
Yep.
So that's in your staked ADA wallet there, and that's why you changed that one to the little green plug thing in the right corner. So that now, when you're on another browser, whether it be MinSwap or another DEX, because Eternal is clicked to give the instruction to look at your staked ADA wallet.
Yeah, exactly right. So I can now, from this MinSwap, use their DApp connector to connect to the correct Eternal wallet, because I've got several, and it will show me the balance, and you can even do
equally saying you could then go and that connection that you've just done on MinSwap, if you weren't sure about, oh, am I on the right wallet, you'd be going to check at that ADDR1QY and the last bit, and going back into your Eternal wallet and going, oh no, that's not the right wallet where my INDY token is, and change it to the one that you want.
Yeah, you can verify it. What I tend to do is know the balance of ADA in my wallets, and so if it's in the ballpark, I've got Eternal is saying I've got 2003 ADA in there. Some of it's probably rewards. When I've connected the DApp connector to MinSwap, I know that I don't have any other wallets that are within that ballpark. So 1915 is close enough to 2003 to know that I've associated those. If I was being pedantic and diligent, I would go and check the address exactly right. So ADDR1QYOHKT. The tricky part with Cardano's wallet system is that for several reasons you can have multiple receive addresses on the same wallet. So if you were using NAMI, then you would only ever have that one receive address per wallet, and so you would know for sure that if you checked the ADDR1 address here with the AD address one, if this was NAMI, then it would be the same address definitely. But look here in my staked ADA, the current address reported by staked ADA wallet in Eternal is different. 1QYKL different to the 1QY0HK to the wallet picked up by the DApp connector, and that's because the DApp connector has actually used a different receive address from here. So from Eternal, because Eternal is multi-address capable, NAMI isn't, Eternal is, and in my use cases, that's having multi-addresses is useful for, which is why I use Eternal rather than NAMI. NAMI makes things a lot simpler. But if I do want to be diligent and check 100%, then I can go in. So it's QY0HK8T, QY0HK8T. I can see that's actually the first receive address under the additional addresses. So, okay, that's fine. I knew that it is attached to this wallet. I have attached the DApp has picked up on the correct wallet. But yeah, I typically just look at the ADA balance and know the ballpark figures that it should be in rear. And this is less than in my Eternal wallet, probably because it's not counting some rewards or some tokens that are locked in transactions, things like that. But yeah. And unfortunately, these are part of the user interface issues that do exist in Cardano still, because it's technically very capable, but anything that's technically very capable is a bit like trying to interact with a supercar rather than with a metro. There's a whole load more buttons and options to try and figure out in a supercar than there is in a mini or a metro. Don't have metros anymore, do we? Oh, shame. Anyway, so I digress. I've connected using the DApp connector to the correct wallet. This means I should be able to select the INDY token from here, Paul, which I can. I've got 25 I managed to gather across all my wallets, and I can see the price. If I was going to buy more, I'd be this way around. If I'm going to sell, I can click this little double-headed arrow on MinSwap, and with my balance of 25 INDY, I can click on the balance, and it will fill in my conversion from. So for my 25 INDY token that I own, I can redeem it for 171 ADA. It's even given me a dollar value down here, so $53 worth, which is very cool. I probably spent 30p on getting them, and I can now I can sell them for 53. That's a good return. But again, because of my hodler mentality, which is not, this is definitely not advice. This is probably bad opinion. I just hold on to these things like Gollum and don't let go. I have an issue. It's a problem. I should just get my return, but I haven't set my money rules for Indy yet, so I'm just going to hold it.
That means you've got no rules. Sell them.
Yeah. True, I could sell them, but I keep thinking, in the future they may be worth more. I don't want to lose out the opportunity. But yes, so there you go. That's how to sell, and then you just click swap. It'll pop up some transaction windows. In fact, that's probably worth seeing as well, because you should see the transaction description according to MinSwap here. This is what it's going to be trying to do. So you will receive a minimum of 170. There is some slippage in there, so depending on how fast the transaction can get added in, there could be 0.5% slippage in the price, just because it's like a queuing system of the batches getting these transactions set up. And so if you click the interface, then the price could have changed within that time, and some other factors blown in as well. That's what this slippage tolerance is. So if it goes more than 0.5% out away from that minimum received price, then the transaction will be cancelled. So it's not going to ever slip more than 0.5% away from there, and you can tweak that and change these transactions if you want to in your settings. So if you're really stingy and only want it to 0.1%, you could set it up like that. So in this case, the price impact would be 0.01%. Was that percent? Or should that be ADA? Market price and your price due to trade size. No, okay. Yeah. The fee that's going to the pool so people who've got Indy and ADA is the only way that makes your trade possible, because they've put both those tokens into the pool. No problem. Cheers, Carol. Good to see you. So they put two tokens into the liquidity pool so that other people can come in and swap from those two pairs. And so that's what we're doing here. And so as a reward for doing those token pairs, they're going to take 0.075 Indy away from me. But that's fine, because I can trade them in for cash instead. The batcher fee, which is like the fee that the MinSwap will take to actually be running the infrastructure to make these transactions happen. And then it's got a deposit in there as well, which I will get back. Because every time you're sending a native token, whether it's a non-fungible token or a fungible token like Indy, along with that transaction, you have to send in at least 2 ADA. But it does come back to you. Yeah, it's just one of the mechanisms, the parameters within the chains architecture. And the price is going to be 1 Indy for 6.84 ADA. And I can confirm the swap, and it will then pop up a transaction signing window, which I'll just check for you for the last time. Switch windows to this fellow. And again, you can see my eternal DApp connector transaction signing windows popped up. I can go down and look at it. So I'd be sending 4.23 ADA out, and I'll also sending 25 Indy tokens out. It's being sent into this Plutus contract. So because it's a decentralized exchange, it's running smart contracts. So I'm not giving my ADA into just a normal wallet. I'm sending it into a smart contract, my Indian ADA, and that smart contract is written with certain rules in it that it will then swap those for ADA, all for ADA, and that contract will then send the money back to the address, the receive address that I've set up in that transaction. And then these are the UTXOs that from my wallets that will be used to form that transaction. And it gets very complicated because it's a busy wallet. But yeah, the bits to always look at are the items in red, because they're the ones that you're spending. And if it doesn't match up with what your expectations are, then cancel the transaction and do it again later. So I don't want to sell my Indy. I'm going to hold them. So I'm going to cancel that transaction, close the window, and that will stop my share. And so if I look back at MinSwap for you quickly, you can just see that the transaction failed and user declined to sign the transaction. So there we go. I didn't sell my Indy. Sorry, Paul.
No, that's good.
Right, well, we've got on extra long today. I've been doing this since 7 this morning, so I should probably stop. But really good to have your regulars, and good to see you as well, Dinesh. Thanks for stopping by. If you want to connect and hook up and have any more questions before you stake, or if you are looking to stake or whatnot, then yeah, do shout on. Drop in a text on any of the channels. We tend to use the Fluid Pool channel for a lot of the conversations, or the tech community. And then yes, and in fact, I'll drop you a link to my staking tutorial video if you are interested, because that goes through a whole load of security precautions that I advise people to take, as well as how to technically get set up with wallets and stake to pools. But you're probably actually au fait with all that already, to be honest, I'm sure. But it's always useful to remind people of the staking tutorial, because it's a valuable video.
/verify add.
And anytime you do watch any of my videos on YouTube, please like and subscribe and click the notification bells and all that jazz. Because I never say it in the videos itself, so I thought I'd say it now. I always forget.
Thanks, Jonathan. And all this is new to me because I've just been mainly dabbling in central exchanges like Binance.
Okay.
So a lot of those screenshots I've seen, 90% is just new to me. So there's lots of takeaways today.
Okay, yeah. So you've probably been swamped with stuff to learn.
Yeah. And all these drops I've never been sort of exposed to, so it's good to know.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's one of the incentives for getting away from the centralized exchanges, that they offer you one thing that they can offer you, but your funds are locked up. But actually, in the wider ecosystem, when you're operating on chain, there's a whole load of other things that crop up to compensate you for because like the staking percentage yield on Binance can be like lock in for 30 days and you get 8% or something. On chain itself, it's only 3.5-5% max. But you've got these additional bonuses that you can partake in, and communities like this. Every pool runs not every pool, but lots of pools like this run calls like this to engage people and help people out. We're really involved in onboarding humans to the chain as well as running the infrastructure itself. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a really good.
On Binance, it's been mainly 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, and then you've got to keep maintaining that cycle. And sometimes the pool gets filled up, so you don't have that option.
Miss the opportunity as well.
But yeah, but one of the reasons I was thinking central exchange was better was because it had a higher return on the interest. But yeah, I can see with the free drop, the decentralized, it's possible, but the two can weigh off. But you learn a lot more on the decentralization.
Yes.
If you're a techie, and if you like dabbling, then I think decentralization probably got a lot more hands-on.
It's got a lot of sweets to tempt you into it. Yeah.
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 Great. Okay. Well, really good to have you. And we run this every Friday at the same time, pretty much. Sometimes there's holidays and things like that, but yeah, you're very
Just
welcome.
this question: how long is this session normally for? Is it an hour, an hour and a half, or as long as you need?
I normally put it an hour and a half, and I try and finish sort of between 10:30 and 11. But often it's 11, and sometimes it's over. So it just depends how frantic my day is ahead of me. And but I really enjoy these sessions, so I'm very happy to talk.
Yeah, I did on this week. I did hear about the Adana collapse. They called it rug pull, and I saw a YouTube video which did a deep dive. I saw it partly, and the chappie who started the Adana project off, he's at Warwick University, and he was an intern at London SEO, which is like some organization which you learn about, education organization, and then there wasn't much really behind that person, so it really looks like a rug pull, and there wasn't much behind it, that project.
Yeah,
that's what I found out this weekend, and I think you alluded to that something similar.
Yeah. I mean, it's very difficult to tell. I mean, people do fail. Entrepreneurs are renowned. In fact, the only way they can succeed is by failing and failing and failing, and then have a success. And so, the successful entrepreneurs, you only hear about their major successes, typically. So, it could be that this guy actually is good and actually has good intentions, but just keeps, just hasn't made it work yet. Hi, Margot.
Oh, hey, this is live. Okay.
Yeah, we're still here. We're supposed to finish, but yeah, we are live. No, we are wrapping up. We're wrapping up. But yeah, so this guy, I don't know. He may have been in it with malicious intent. He may just be incompetent. We don't really know. I don't like to judge too harshly either way. But yes, regardless, there has been $10 million of investment put into the business that he was responsible for, and they've delivered not a lot so far. So yeah, not ideal, and people, and it's difficult as well, because it's high profile projects that have received funding from organizations who we would attribute with being trustworthy. So when C Fund, which is kind of the only equivalent to a venture capital firm operating in the Cardano space, back when this launched, that's got ties to Charles Hoskinson himself and a lot of the IOG team, when they are considering a project worthy of investment, then you give it a whole load more kudos. And so, it just shows you that the big guys, they can make mistakes just as easily as us little guys. So due diligence is a difficult subject, and you have to really settle it within yourself. Because C Fund got burnt by this, and 3 Arrows Capital, who've now folded themselves, and from outside the ecosystem, they'd invested too. So yeah, it's difficult.
Do you think they'll ban them?
Sorry.
Do you think they'll ban them in some way of starting up other projects?
Those dev teams, I certainly think they shouldn't be put in charge of any further projects. But that doesn't exclude them from operating on teams. I mean, I don't even know his credentials, whether he's a coder or whatnot. But a coder can be put to work and produce good code, even if they have bad management skills and can't run a project. It's a completely different skill set. If you can't manage a budget, if you can't organize delivery, that's a very different set of skills to someone who can actually just write a clean, concise, functional, secure block of code. That's a skill set that's extremely valuable in the Cardano space. If he's capable of doing that, then he is worthwhile keeping in the ecosystem. We just don't give him the keys to any wallets anymore.
And I suppose as well there'll be questions. Please explain where the funds are.
Yes. And particularly galling. What was particularly galling about it is Orbis, which is the related project that also has announced their folding, with a large proportion of the teams overlapping. They were running a big NFT sale just last week, And that to promote yourself, to push, to ask for a whole lot of community cash, people buying NFTs, they must have had knowledge, fair warning that they were in a sticky situation. And so to flog those NFTs a week later, then turn around and fold the project is just, I can't really interpret that as anything but cynical. So that's a big black flag against them in my book. We don't know the situation entirely yet. I'm sure it'll come out. It could be that their investment backers just sat them down at a executive meeting last week and said, we're pulling any remaining funds out and you don't have access to spend any more money, so you're gonna have to stop. And it might have been out of their control. We don't really know yet. I suspect not, but we don't really know. So I try not to judge until there's known facts on the table, and even then try and separate the human from the behavior, because everybody is capable of bad behavior at points in their life, and you're stupid if you trust them again with that same expecting that behavior not to happen again. But it doesn't mean you should discount them as a human being. You just have to put them into a different box in your life. Good. Right, we really should stop. It's now 20 past 8. But thanks everyone. Really good session. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks Jonathan, and have a good weekend everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Cheers, thank you.